activated. Start emergency procedures. Police have been notified. Wave system activated. Start emergency procedures.
Go ahead.
Police have been notified. Wave system activated. Start emergency procedures. Police have been notified. Wave system activated. Start emergency procedures. Police have been notified. Wave system activated. Start emergency procedures. Police have been notified.
Yeah.
Wave system
Otherwise,
activated.
we would.
Start emergency
It
procedures.
goes through our speakers for.
Police have been notified. Wave system activated.
I'm gonna,
Start emergency procedures.
you can start, we're gonna run downstairs on this side.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, guys. My name is Matt Haas. I'm a detective for the Sheriff's Department. With Nick retiring, I am kind of taking over our Alice training. Since Nick has been in here teaching Alice, this company Navigate 360 has kind of bought it out, and they've really pigeonholed what we can teach, how we can teach it. So that is basically the purpose that we're putting this PowerPoint on right now, is kind of to start everyone over with a fresh slate. For the most part, the principles are still the same, but again, it's just how we teach it and what we're allowed to do. So this PowerPoint hopefully is only going to take about 45 minutes, and it's only the second time I've ever given this PowerPoint, and I hate public speaking, so please be nice. After this, we're going to do 3 quick scenarios, and we'll address that after the PowerPoint's done. But a big thing with Alice is it's trauma-informed approach. So if at any point, because we're covering sensitive material with school shooting, that kind of stuff, if anyone needs to step out, feel free to do so, and then come back in if you would like to. That being said, don't just bug out of here because I'm boring. I will take offense. Okay. So Alice, again, like I said, it's the principles are the same. So it's situational awareness, your perception of your surroundings, and then your alerting to something that's not being right, and then how you get that message of danger across. So for today, all the examples I'm going to use are either going to be in this school or at a mall. And then you have your response options, your evacuate, your lockdown, and your counter, basically how you're going to react to that perceived danger. All right, so situational awareness is your perception of the environment, how you comprehend the meaning of your perception, and what will happen to your perception in the future-based decisions that you make. So your perception of the environment around you. You guys are at recess right now and you see a creeper in a trench coat hanging out along the fence and it's 90 degrees out. So you should have those hairs on the back of your neck standing up because there's a guy hanging around the fence during recess. You've never seen him before, and he's not dressed appropriately for the weather. It's 90 degrees out and he's wearing a full-length trench coat. Comprehending the meaning behind your perception. So understanding why you're feeling this way, kind of trying to understand why you might have kind of that hinky sixth sense feeling. All right, the Cooper Color Code of Awareness, I'm gonna break these down. So basically white is you are completely unaware, completely unprepared. People in white are oblivious to their environment. You ever see a kid walking and his head is just buried in his phone, and next thing you know, he walks into a wall, or all of a sudden he trips and falls, that kind of thing. That is in white. You were completely focused on one thing. There could be a fire alarm going next to you and you wouldn't even know. White is a bad place to be. The next one is yellow. Yellow is where 99% of us spend the majority of our day. So you're relaxed and you're alert. You're aware of your surroundings, but you haven't taken it to that next level of something's wrong. in the school, you're paying attention to where you are, or while you're driving and I just turned off of Highway I and now I'm going on to Highway 8. You're aware of where you are, but nothing has, again, stood out to you guys as being suspicious. Orange is the next level of, okay, something now doesn't stand out right. That's the creeper next to the fence at recess. Something doesn't fit right, something's tripping those senses. And now you might want to start to formulate a plan. Your plan for, like your lockdown plans. Are you guys gonna evacuate? Are you guys gonna barricade? That kind of stuff. Red is responding to a threat within your environment. Now your perceived sense of danger is actually real. It's happening, it's going down now. How are you gonna respond to it? Hopefully with Alice, your training is gonna kick in and you'll be able to formulate your response options based off that. Condition black is something that you never wanna be in. Black is you're in a total chaos state. You're a chicken with your head cut off. You can't even walk to get out of a door. Black is not the place you wanna be in. My goal with getting this Alice training set up and continued is that eventually Alice is just gonna be another fire drill for you guys and for your students. Apparently I was supposed to click through these. So again, we'll just cover it. Yellow is you're relaxed and alert. People are aware of your surroundings and your environment. Again, orange is that heightened sense of awareness. Something isn't right, but you just don't know what it is yet. Red is the danger's here. How are you going to respond to it now? And then again, black is you can't do anything. You physically cannot make a decision to help yourself or help anyone else that you're around. All right, so now we're gonna go into the Alice training itself. So alert is gonna be your first notification of danger. Whether it's an alarm like the wave system, right? So when that wave system goes off, for an event that's up here, but you guys are in the gym or you guys are out at school, how are you being alerted to something? So hear, sight, smell, taste, feel. And then push notifications. I know at Ozaki High School, they send out push notifications to all their teachers via text message, speakers, that kind of thing. So it's important when you're giving information that you want to provide it real time. You don't want to use code words. You don't want to say it's going down in the lunchroom, they're serving cold hot dogs today. You want to say there's a threat in the cafeteria, man seen with a gun. And then once you guys are provided with that information, it lets you decide, are you guys going to evacuate? Are you going to lock down? Or are you going to do multiple other options versus you're countering, you're swarming, that kind of thing. And then again, you guys have pre-planned responses for what's going to happen in the event of an intruder active shooter situation. It's going to be your PA system, the phones, landline, apps, that kind of thing. So sending information, it's plain language that's going to, again, let everyone know three things. Where is he going? What is he wearing? And then if you see a weapon, what is it? A big one for us is going to be pistol or rifle, assuming everyone knows the difference between a pistol, something that goes in one hand, or a rifle or a long gun, something that goes in two hands. And then in your classroom, you're providing following information to the office or to Deputy Valente if he's here, your location, who you are, what you saw, what the person looked like, what he was wearing, and where he was headed. That's the big thing. All right, evacuation. Evacuation is always going to be your best option in an active intruder situation. If you are able to, we always tell you to evacuate. So if you are, I'm just going to use this classroom, bad guys in this classroom causing harm to people, and you guys are in the cafeteria, you guys are at recess, you guys are in the church itself, there's no point in barricading yourselves in some place when there's floors between you guys. Just get out of there. Go to your predetermined area, which I'm pretty sure is Village Hall, right? Okay. So again, this is your best option. It puts distance between you guys and the threat. Alice is never gonna pigeonhole you to one of three options: to barricade, to evacuate, or to counter. It's basically empowering you guys as teachers to make the decision that you feel is best for you guys and your students during any given scenario. So again, when leaving, leave all of your belongings behind. Tell your kids this isn't a time to grab a backpack, this isn't a time to grab a Chromebook or anything like that. You're literally leaving everything. Alice mentions a go bucket here. What they suggest in a go bucket is literally a 5-gallon pail that has toilet paper in it, water, granola bars, basic first aid medical supplies. Because in the event of an active intruder at this school, it could be hours before law enforcement has finally given everyone the okay to where we're going room by room, evacuating people from that classroom now. So something Alice has come up with is during that time, if you have a kindergarten room, they're gonna need somewhere to go to the bathroom, they're gonna need water, they're gonna need food. So that's just a good idea to have with you. Alice also talks about a rally point and then what we would call a reunification point. So you guys have Fredonia Village Hall as your reunification point, right? That's where you guys are all going to. It's close enough that I don't feel like you need to have a point in between to where everyone rallies to where you take a head count. I feel like with that only being a block away, you guys can just take your head count once you get to the Village Hall. Once you're at the rally point, that's when you're gonna take your attendance and report anyone that's not with you. Once you guys are out of the classroom, as difficult as it's gonna be to hear this, you're not going back inside for anyone else. You're in charge of your students that you guys were able to safely get out. That's where it gets into this sensitive topic. It's something that you guys are hopefully never gonna have to do, but you're gonna have to come up with a plan on what's gonna happen when it comes to that point. All right, lockdown. This is where you guys can get creative, right? So you guys are in your classroom and I want you to pay attention to your surroundings. Does your door open in? Does it open out? How would you either yourself or direct your students, if they're old enough, to help you barricade and fortify a door so no bad guys can get in? This is something that I encourage you guys to take a look at tomorrow or even tonight before you guys leave, of how you feel like you can best fortify your room to prevent a bad guy from getting in. All right, so lockdown is an option for when you do not have the time and opportunity to evacuate. So for example, I don't know how many classrooms are up here, but let's say there's a incident going on in this adjoining classroom right here. You guys don't feel like it's a safe option for you to evacuate because the threat is right there. Your next best bet would be to lock down, to fortify your room somehow, to keep bad guy from coming in. So the first step with that is lock the door if the door has a lock on it. Once you're able to do that, then you determine, does the door swing open, does it swing out? Extension cords are great to wrap around door handles if the door swings out, because you can wrap it around the knob, you can put your weight on it, and you can prevent bad guy from getting in. You also want to stack up tables, desks, chairs, anything that can put time and space in between bad guy and you. Historically and statistically, they've had like Virginia Tech, Columbine, Uvalde, all of these schools their incidents have been debriefed and studied. And statistically, bad guy is gonna go to an area where he can do the most damage as quickly as possible. So as he's running down a hallway, if he can find an open door, he's gonna go in there and see how much damage he can do in the shortest amount of time. If bad guy comes down and he finds the door is locked, historically and statistically, he's gonna pass up that classroom to go to an easier target. Because bad guy knows that once he starts this event, he's on a clock until the first law enforcement officer arrives. And then statistically, once law enforcement arrives and makes entry into that building, I know you've got your black marks like Uvalde, but the situation itself is usually over within seconds. whether law enforcement takes bad guy out or bad guy self-inflicts on himself. Again, I went off on a tangent there, but let's go back to lockdown. So again, as much stuff as possible in front of this door. If your door is unable to be locked, you still want to pile as much stuff in front, because if bad guy opens it up, you want him to say, you know what, it's not worth it, I'm gonna spend too much time getting into this classroom. I'm just gonna go down the hall, and hopefully he just keeps running into barricaded door, barricaded door, barricaded door, and then by that point, law enforcement is there or someone who can stop the threat. Oops. So the slide I accidentally skipped over just has your options for your doors. So you want to be aware of your surroundings, what's in your classroom. Does that door swing open? Does it swing out? Are you able to lock it? If that door swings open, do you have something as simple as a rubber door jam that you can kick underneath it to prevent bad guy from easily gaining access to your room? All right, so now let's talk about once your door is locked, you're stuck in this room. But that being said, what else do you have in your room? Let's pretend this classroom is on the ground level. Doors are locked, doors are locked. Do you guys think if we're on the ground level that breaking that window and evacuating your kids that way is an option? It's options with this training. So you can lock down, but once you lock down, there's nothing saying that you have to stay in your room and then just hope that bad guy doesn't come in and that law enforcement comes. You guys need to do what's best for you and your students. So if this is on the ground level and there's that window right there, personally, I'm breaking the window and I'm ushering my kids out of that classroom. One of the big things that Alice has changed, in the past it used to be huddle along a friendly wall, keep your voices down, we're gonna turn the lights off. Alice has really now changed to you guys are gonna spread out within the room. Big thing for that is bad guy comes in through this door. If everyone is lined up right here, all he has to do is turn, and then bad news for you guys and for your students. Now, if you guys are spread out in between the room, you're behind there, you're over there, bad guy now is forced to isolate a target and engage that target, which gives your other students time to counter, to throw things at them. So again, don't huddle in the corner. Be ready to move. If bad guy is able to get in that classroom, you guys are going to be screaming, you're going to be yelling. I want your students to do the exact same thing. Anything that is heavy enough for them to throw that could distract the bad guy, I want them throwing it. Ideally, they're throwing it at bad guy's head. And you guys will see why in the scenarios that we're going to do after, how effective that can be. This is a big one too. Call 911. Don't just assume that someone else has called 911 or that the police have been contacted. More than likely someone did, but I would rather our dispatch center get inundated with 911 calls versus 9 people hoping that someone called 911 when no one actually did. And again, they bring up the go bucket. That's completely up to you guys. I think for your younger students, it's gonna be nice, because like I said, when you have an incident like this and you've chosen to barricade yourself in your classroom, you're gonna be in there for hours for law enforcement to stop the threat and then clear all the other rooms to make sure that there's no other secondary threat, and then they're gonna go room by room and evacuate people out a predetermined path. That's gonna take time, especially in a school that's split up like this. All right, oops. Countering.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the past, we talked about like whether we should put color slips under our door to say that, you know, we're good in here, or red, we're not, like we're hurt.
Correct, yeah.
Shall we do that, or do
I
we
think
not?
it's still a good idea. I think we're still training that way, right? Yeah, no, it's a good idea because it lets law enforcement know if we have 3 green cards underneath the door and we have 1 red card, if it's safe to do so, we're gonna go to that red room first. Like I said, that being said, while the incident is still happening, while bad guy is still there harming people, we are stepping over injured people on the ground because our job is to stop that threat. Once that threat is stopped, then we can slow down, and then we can start doing how we've been trained to do it after that. But for you guys, if you have, you know, those cards that you can slip underneath the door, we're obviously gonna go to red first if it's safe for us and everyone else to do so.
Is that kind of same though, like, we're in here, you know what I mean, like, do we wait till after the shot to stop, I mean,
You may
That's-
not, you may not know, it's
Right.
just best to, you can throw it under there, you have your stop the bleed kits in your room. My suggestion would be, if it is a situation, law enforcement or medics may not get to your room for 45 minutes, an hour, depending on
Right.
the size of the building and the situation. Treat to how you've been trained and do the best you can.
You know, with the cards going under the doors and stuff like that, it's, every single door that's locked, all of this stuff is based on what's happened in the past. What are the lessons learned through all of this? And the one thing that has up until now remained the constant is that every single door that has been closed and locked, the active shooter bypasses it. They don't waste time on locked doors. So
And they're gonna assume
regardless
that,
of whether you put a card under the door or not, that door is locked, they're not wasting time with that door.
so they know the second that they start this incident, the clock is ticking for them.
Especially once they hear that wave system go off. You know, the wave system, there's a reason why we say the police have been notified. We want them to know that it's been notified. There's a reason why it goes on for a minute, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit, talking about the Lulu. But that's all by design, so.
So yeah, I mean, and that guy's gonna assume that each door is gonna be a classroom in a school, right? He's not gonna distinguish, oh, that looks like a janitor's closet, I'm not gonna go there. Slip the cards under, trust that what you guys have been able to do with your barricades for your doors are gonna work. But like I said, if bad guy's able to get through the door, we're gonna talk about what you guys do now that bad guy's in the classroom. Alright, so the countering is basically your ability to impact intruder's brain by dividing their attention from what they're supposed to do. So they're gonna be coming through this door expecting that they're gonna see a bunch of kids huddled underneath the desk, they're lined up against a wall, and all they're gonna do is inflict as much damage as quickly as possible, and then move on to where they can have more targets. What this is gonna do is basically you're gonna disrupt their thought process, causing them to delay their reaction and hopefully back out of your classroom. So the two techniques that are gonna overwhelm the intruder are gonna be your distraction techniques, which is yelling, which is throwing things at the intruder, and then your control techniques. With you guys being a grade school, we're not gonna teach, I'm gonna show you what a control technique is, but with you guys that's more for high school seniors and juniors, people that are able to subdue an intruder. Alright, so your distraction techniques. So you're overwhelming the decision-making process of the attacker. In our demonstration, you're gonna see the Force Science Institute's research that our brain cannot perform two functions at the same time. It's essentially trying to pat your head and rub your belly for bad guy. Alright, so again, research shows that the brain cannot perform two functions at the same time. And what this does is provides critical time for you guys to either come up with another force option or evacuate the classroom if bad guy did force his way in there. And then again, you're gonna use your environment and objects around you to make the distractions. That's gonna be your pencil cases here, your staplers, this stuff thrown at someone's head. Even if you don't hit them, you're still gonna cause them to move out of the way, and it distracts them and it buys you guys time. And the goal is for them too to say, you know what, this isn't worth it, I'm gonna go down to another room that's not hopefully as prepared as you guys are. And then again, the visual pathway the pathway of the brain is usually visual. They're gonna react to what they're gonna see. Okay, so you've heard Nick talk about the OODA loop before. Basically, anything your brain does, you go through 4 different thought processes before you can actually make a decision. So let's take this for example. I want to go pick up this green pencil case. So I see a green pencil case, that's the observe. Orient, okay, I'm gonna have to take 4 steps to go grab that pencil case. Once I get to that pencil case, I'm gonna have to decide to pick it up, and then eventually act. What the Force Science Institute has said is that if something interrupts that thought process between observe, orient, decide, or act, it causes the brain to completely restart and be like, what was I doing? So,